video will be about the distributive property. The distributive property is when you are using parentheses to group something together with addition or subtraction. So what you could do, there's kind of two options here. According to order of operations, you do what's inside the parentheses first. 6 plus 9 is 15. Then you multiply. 3 times 15 is 45. But with the distributive property, you could actually multiply in the 3 first to each number inside. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27. And then add together and still get the same answer. So distributive property can be used to multiply by two numbers that you're actually adding together. This can be super useful if you're multiplying large numbers. Let's say we're multiplying 13 times 103. Now doing that old school, you'd go over here, go 103 times 13, line it up, you'd do 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 0 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 1 is 3. Bring in your placeholder 0, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 1 is 1. Add them together. So it can take a while. You have to set it up properly. You have to remember where your placeholder 0 is. I kind of got lost in the middle there myself and had to pause and kind of regroup and start over and be like, okay, which one was I multiplying? So it can take a little bit of time. But if we split this number up, this larger number up into two easier numbers to multiply by. If I do 100 plus 3. 100s, 10s, 100s, 1000s, those are easy to multiply because they have lots of zeros. 3 is a lot smaller, so it's also easy to multiply by. So 13 times 100 is 1300. 13 times 3 is 39. Added together is 1339. So it's a little bit quicker and easier to do. This concept can also be useful in money. Let's say the cost of n sandwiches is $2.95n, so it's $2.95 per sandwich. And we want to find the cost of 8 sandwiches. So basically they're saying multiply $2.95 times 8. Again, $2.95 times 8, I'd have to go old school, write it out, take a while. But $2.95 is pretty close to $3. So this time we're going to do subtraction. If I did 3 minus 0.05, these numbers are easier to multiply by. 8 times 3 is 24. And once we do this multiplication to both of them, we don't need the parentheses anymore. 0.05 times 8 is 0.40. 5 cents times 8 is 40 cents. And then subtracting 24 minus 0.40 is 23.60, so $23.60. So using this distributive property to break stuff up can make your multiplication a lot easier. It's also used a lot when you can't actually combine together the things in the parentheses. Usually when you can't combine stuff together, it's called an expression. So when we're multiplying by an expression, we have some variables involved. I can't actually combine 8x and 11. They're not like terms. So I still can multiply this number outside by both of them, though. I can multiply 4 times 8x to get 32x, and 4 times 11 to get 44. You could have also thought of it as 4 times negative 11. So you could think of it as bringing down the minus and just doing 4 times 11. Or you can think of it as not bringing down the sign at all. 4 times negative 11 is negative 44, so we get a negative there. When we do this distributive property, you can also use it with fractions, and they can be on the end instead of the beginning. We still have to multiply what's outside the parentheses in, though. 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times 8, that's the same thing as 1/2 times 8 over 1, which gives me 1 times 8 is 8. 2 times 1 is 1, or 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 1/2 times 8 is 4. The other kind of tricky thing that can sometimes be done is to just put a minus sign out front. When that happens, really you have a -1 there. So we have to multiply a -1 in. -1 times 3x is -3x. -1 times -5 is +5, so +5. If you had thought of it as -1 times just +5 and brought down the minus sign, you'd have minus -5, which still changes to plus. So I usually prefer just to multiply the signs out they have and decide if it's positive or negative that way. So another thing they can do now is to write an expression in words that you have to figure out. So like 3 times the quantity x minus 4. So there's a lot of different words for plus, minus, multiply, and divide. So for addition, you can use plus, total, add, sum, increase, more than. For subtraction, you can use minus, less than, subtract, difference, decrease, decline. For multiply, you can use times, product, per, of. For divide, you can use quotient divide, split into, fraction. And you know, there's even more options than that. Those are just the most commonly used ones. So we know times means multiply. We know minus means subtract. Now we have the words the quantity. The quantity is a way to say put it in parentheses. So you have 3 times the quantity, x minus 4. So we put x minus 4 inside those parentheses. Then we can distribute and simplify again. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times -4 is -12. And that concludes our discussion on the distributive property.